6:30, or close enough. And this is the Planning Board. Just make sure you're in the right room. This meeting has a series of cases which we're going to continue. So we'll do that at the outset, which will maybe save some of you. The matter, by the way, this case, I'm sorry, this hearing is recorded, and the town may audio or video record the meeting, and we are in fact video recording it. And anybody who is either audio or video recording is required to inform the chair. Do I have anybody in the audience who's recording? Okay. Okay. Can you just give us your name, please, sir?
Chris Henry, I'm an applicant for 525 Camelot.
Okay, fine. We have that?
Yep.
Okay. Once again, in hopes to save you some time if you're here and don't realize that you're not going to have to be here, the matter of PB 2019-45, Royal Apartments, LLC, is continued to March 10th. I need a motion?
You do, sir.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing for PB 2019-45, Royal Apartments LLC, as owner Alex Barden, representative, until March 10th, 2020, no earlier than 6:30 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Oh, we have to do a roll call.
Arthur Rose, yeah. Aye.
We need you on the speaker.
David.
David?
Aye.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Miriam Maslowski, aye.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
Matter is continued to March 10th. Next was PB 22001.
Do you need to open that hearing?
Okay. PB 202010. Donna -01. Donna Smith, trustee as owner. Michael Doucette, officer, care of Stephen Haas, PLS, seeks approval of a site plan review special permit and a use special permit with waivers pursuant to the code of the town of Harwich, 325-13, Roman numeral 4, line 30 and 32A, 14, 55, 51, and 107, to renovate and expand the existing recreational use via a four-station mobile bungee trampoline, construct and operate a new snack shack with fast food takeout, and expand and improve the parking and vehicle access. The property is located at 296 Route 28, map 12, parcel H1, in the CH1 and RR zoning districts and the AE special flood hazard area overlay.
We do have an email from Michael Doucette requesting, if you notice, we're a little short-handed here this evening, and Ms. Maslowski did have to recuse herself regarding this matter. So he is respectfully requesting a continuance of this hearing to March 10th, not earlier than 6:30 p.m.
Okay, do we have a motion?
You can say so moved.
So moved.
And second, and we have a roll call?
Arthur Rose, aye.
Did you second it, Joe?
I did.
For the purpose,
Yes.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Go ahead.
David Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
Okay. And finally, do I have to read the...
Yes, you do.
Okay. So that matter is continued to March 10th. The next is PB 2020-02, Steve Gapoyan and Swavi Ozev as applicant tenant, care of Andrew Singer, Esquire, Mullis E. Hall et al. As owners, seeks approval of a site plan review special permit and a use special permit with waivers pursuant to the code of the town of Howard, 325-13, paragraph 4, Roman numeral 4, line 30, 55, and 51, to construct a miniature golf course and expand and improve the parking and vehicle access. Property is located at 346 Route 28 and Zero Sisson Road, map 21, parcel N1 and 2, respectively, in the CH1 and RM zoning district.
So moved.
A second?
Actually, there is no motion. Again, the applicant has requested a continuance to March 10th based on the fact that we have a quorum issue.
Okay.
So
Do we need a vote?
Yes, you do.
So moved.
Second?
Arthur Rose, aye.
David Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
Matters continued to March 10th. Next, we are going to consider the matter of PB 2019-47, 525 Camelot LLC as owner, Andrew Singer Esquire, representative. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Andrew Singer, attorney on behalf of the applicant. With me again is Chris Henry, representing the applicant. We submitted revised plans to you with some minor changes. As I had mentioned when we were here last time, we changed some of the notes labeling on the floor plan, and then the only physical change is that on the outside seats, we corrected the location of the tables and added one seat there, so there's two per outside table. So there's, of the 24 seats, 6 would be outside, 2 per table, and the rest would be inside. Other than that, the plans stay the same. As we had discussed last time, we're here for 2 different approvals from you. The deli use is technically considered a fast food takeout business under the zoning bylaw, so we need a special permit for that portion of the business, and we need an amended site plan review special permit for the outside seats. That's also something that's required. Since the last meeting, we have been meeting with the 2 immediate abutters on either side, who Mr. Waystack and Mr. Delamorte, who we have the shared parking arrangement with. Happy to report that those 3 parties are in agreement on moving forward, through the development agreement process they agreed to before, as amended, which you already cite in your decision. So, and I know that Mr. Kroll and Mr. Delamorte are here as well. I told them that I would pass that along to you. Other than that, there have been no changes. We would respectfully ask that you, at the close of the hearing, vote to issue both approvals with the conditions that we discussed last time and that are in the staff report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Counsel.
Can you clarify what you meant by the 3 parties? I'm glad to hear that there's agreement, but can you clarify what specifically that is? As I recall, the previous issue, or the issue at the last meeting was the restrictive covenant about sales of wine or alcohol or liquor or package store and all that. So could you expound on that?
The parties have, all I can say is that the parties have reached a private resolution of that, and they're going to continue working together on that outside of this process, because it's not, as I had stated last time, I don't believe it's actually part of the special permit process, because it's not something we were or are asking you for. It's just for the deli use and the seats. So they have, and this is what Attorney Kroll will say as well, is they have reached an agreement to continue working through the private agreements they've already have in place.
Okay. So we'll need to hear from him as well.
Yes, he's planning on speaking during public testimony.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else on the board?
Do you want an update from me?
I'm getting to you. Okay, we'll hear from the town planner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So a revised floor plan was submitted, dated 2/3/20, showing slight changes to outdoor seating. The seating was moved and reconfigured for 1 additional seat, as noted by Attorney Singer. Additionally, the revised plans also show the relabeling of some of the interior spaces. Beer, wine, beer, cheese is now dairy, beverage, cold storage. Refrigerator, freezer is now dairy, produce, dairy. The checkout counter has been relocated to the rear of the store, and the ice from counter label has been removed, and the indoor seating has been reduced by 1 seat. So the total number of seats, both inside and out, does remain at 24 seats. The application before the planning board is for just a minor change to the site plan and for a use special permit relative to the restaurant fast food takeout. The proposed retail market is allowable by right and requires no approvals from the planning board. The proposed use is allowed in the CV zoning district through this special permit process. The commercial use is restricted to the CV district only. No significant changes are proposed for the site plan. However, a condition to the total number of outdoor seats is recommended, as is a condition that the outdoor seats not restrict sidewalk use or impede accessibility. The parking as provided is adequate for the proposed use. I do recommend that standard conditions be imposed and that any signage will require a sign permit from the building department.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody, sure, go ahead.
Chairman, I'm sorry, another
That's
question.
right, sure.
Regarding the seats proposed for the front of the building, the 6 additional seats is what we have under consideration here.
Correct.
Is there any, and I know there's the wording that you just read about cannot impede sidewalk passage or whatever the right terminology is, but has there been any consideration or is there discussion among the board, I would ask, about some kind of separation between the seats and the sidewalk portion of the sidewalk, similar to what we approved for 10 Yen, I think it was last year, for their outside seating. They have, I believe it's planters. Was there any consideration to that? And I guess I would ask my fellow board members if there's,
Reasonable question.
right?
Different than a restaurant. We're not gonna have table service.
If you'd like a.
Sure,
if you
Sure.
want- so-
He's
Yeah,
asking.
I don't believe that it has been discussed up till now. It certainly hasn't been when we've met with town staff. And I think that part of the thought with that was that this isn't like a regular sit-down restaurant. It's some tables where people, if they've got some at the deli, I would envision they either might sit down briefly or just put something on the table and then leave. So it's certainly something that could be considered if necessary, but we just hadn't discussed it yet.
Okay. Anybody else on the board? Any questions? Okay. Anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard? Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney William Kroll from Harwich Planning, and I'm representing, as you know, Joseph Delamorte, who owns the liquor store on one side, and Bernadette Waystack and Richard Waystack, who own the building, the real estate building on the other side. And Bernadette Waystack is here, as well as Mr. Delamorte. And Mr. Delamorte is going to would like to say a few words when I'm done. I want to thank the chairman and the board last time for showing great wisdom in continuing the case for 2 weeks to give us a chance to negotiate and to work this out so that my clients, both of my clients, are in support of the requests tonight for the amended site plan and the special, the use special permit, and have no objections to it. Thank you.
Can I just ask you, your client has a full alcoholic beer and wine license or full license?
Mr. Delamorte?
Yes.
Year-round full.
Year-round full package store license?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. And you said somebody wanted to be heard?
Mr. Delamorte?
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Joe Delamorte. I own Cranberry Liquors adjacent to 525 Camelot. And I just want to say it's been an intensive few days of back and forth with Mr. Manning and his team, but I think we've come to a reasonable, workable solution with respect to whether or not they choose to sell beer and wine on the premises there. And I look forward to working cooperatively and doing what I think is going to be mutually beneficial business for both of us and hopefully for the town of Harwich. Thank you.
Oh, don't leave yet.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a full alcoholic license?
I do.
And how long have you had it at that location?
I think this is year 15.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Hi, Walter Mason, Miles Street in Harwichport. I think this project is great for the town. I mean, he's really put a lot of money into this building.
Markets like this are popping up all over the cities, and they're historically a pretty low-margin business, but the retail aspect of that is really needed to help subsidize that side of it, to make it economical. So I really think you should support this and the improvements that Mr. Manning has done for the town. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Peter Hurst. I have the kite shop across the street
know who
from
you are, Peter.
Joe Hawaii, pal. Yeah, I just have a couple questions. One is, I keep hearing deli. Now, is it a farmer's market? Is it a deli? What? I just need some clarification on that. I think there's a big difference between
Both?
what a farmer's market is as opposed to what a deli is.
We received I don't have it right in front of me, but we received a plan, and it showed, oh, okay, there it is. And you can see on the right-hand side that they're gonna have, like, I think that's a counter. And they'll sell their, whatever they're selling over that counter. And there also are gonna be some tables and chairs in there, aren't there?
That's right.
Yes, yes, and I have a copy of the plan if you want.
Okay,
That
that's
is it, but, yes, the center, there's going to be it's the wraparound of the, to answer your question, it is both a market and a deli upon approval from the board. And then there's a counter right there where you had that, oh, it doesn't
Did
work.
it work?
It did briefly.
Oh. Oh, it doesn't like that.
Around the center of the building, that's where the food, the deli and the counters will be. And then in the front, there will be display sales. You can see the rectangles in the front. And then the inside seats are on the right-hand side, top right-hand side of that plan. And then there's a few tables outside.
Okay, and my other question is, well, it's a question, as Andrew said, Andrew Mason said, it's wonderful that Mr. Manning has spent, considerable sum of money on the properties that he's invested in the community. And, having been in business there for over 40 years, and, I'm there, I just have maybe a quick suggestion there for Mr. Manning. And that would be, I get to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and between 7 and 9:30, there must be, an estimate would be at least 10 people a day say to me, geez, where can I get a nice cup of coffee or a muffin or something of that nature? We had, 2 years ago, there was a place called Buc-ee's, which is, across the street. Buc-ee's was a very successful little store. They had wonderful product in there. They were busy all the time. The woman had a place in Dennis as well, and it turned out to be too much for her. And, my suggestion would be, and it would be something that would be so advantageous to the community, so we're not getting into, competition is great, repetition sometimes can be, a problem. But I think this is an opportunity for Mr. Manning to think about putting in a really nice coffee shop there. To me, it's a no-brainer. It would be something that he could be proud of. It would certainly be conducive to, the market that he's talking about. It would be it would be a wonderful addition. You've got the chairs now, out there. People they need a place to sit, and that just creates, what that does is it creates a very positive mood on the part of a shopper, in the morning. So instead of going, where can I find this, find that? Well, there it is. Boom. The guy's day is, it's good. I had something else to say too, but I forgot what it was.
If I could,
Let's let him finish, and then
Yeah, I
we'll
just wanted to-
decide to let you respond.
Yeah, so, that's actually, a suggestion on my part. And I think that from what I've seen with what Mr. Manning has done in the past in regard to his properties, everything is the best. And I think that if they really look into this, they'll see that it's really a great opportunity for that building to really make it turn into a really vibrant piece of property. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else who wishes to be heard? Please be kind enough to tell us your name and address.
My name is James Horgan. I'm at 1 Belmont Road in Harwich, Belmont Condominiums. I just want to say that I spoke with Cindy earlier this evening, Chamber of Commerce, and just what has been going on in Howardsport alone has been tremendous. Just what I've seen since I was a summer kid back in the 1960s and how much it's progressed and how enjoyable it is. And now with the new building, I guess someone mentioned Paul Manning, that building is a centerpiece of Harwichport. And to see that full and vibrant would be an excellent asset to Harwichport and all the surrounding businesses. And I'm so happy to hear that they've all come in agreement with one another. And I think it's just going to be a great thing for everyone, and especially someone like me, who's a summer resident right now, but like soon will be retiring down here all year round. But I commend the Planning Board, the Chamber of Commerce, the investors, Mike from 10 Yen, who have done so much for Harwichport. It's just been wonderful in my lifetime to see it just be rejuvenated and make a huge comeback.
Thank you very much. Anybody else who wishes to be heard?
Yes, how you doing? My name is Joe Young. I live at 611 Route 28, and me and my family and all of our friends are definitely for this market. It's something that Harwichport needs. Everyone's been asking for it. You know, people that are in their 30s and 40s who love to go out and stuff. It's something Harwichport has been missing as a farmer's market. And just people will be able to grab subs to go to the beach. It's a great thing. You guys should allow it to happen. And just the whole revitalization of Harwichport with Mad Minnow, with 10 Yen, with perks. It's just great for everyone all around. Financially, real estate, everything, the values are going up. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Wouldn't be the same if I didn't say something, right, Joe?
That's
Cindy
right.
Williams,
Thank you.
Executive Director of the Harwich Chamber. I just wanted to say that I'm glad that all the parties involved have come to an agreement, but I also want to remind everyone what we do have in Harwichport, that I know everyone's saying how wonderful this is going to be, but we also have, I'm glad that things are going to complement one another, but we have some wonderful businesses that Peter started to allude to from the Dr. Gravity that have been with us in Harwichport for many years, including the Mason Jar, which is a deli. So I know on the plan for this, it's a deli butcher counter. So I'm hoping that that is still what we're going to be looking for, because that, as well as the seafood part of the market, are two things that are going to complement what we already do have here in Harwichport. So I'm really glad that we're going to get everyone happy on the same page.
It's my understanding that gentleman who was sitting to your right over there owns one of the restaurants involved, and that's going to, at some point, get a little bit bigger too, he's hoping. But he hasn't been in front of the right boards yet, so I'll leave it at that. Go ahead. You want to anything you want to respond to?
Oh, just wanted to Mr. Hurst's comment, it was a great suggestion, and in fact, one of the things we didn't point out is it is labeled a coffee corner up in the front right where the seats are. So that's exactly one of the aspects of the business. In addition to, as Ms. Williams said, the butcher part, the seafood counter, et cetera. Those are all in there.
All right. Well, we had something further from the chamber.
Just one question. Is this going to be year-round?
Yes.
Thank you. Right answer.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes?
I just lost my train of thought. It'll come back.
You have 3 letters, too.
Yes. Can I ask one question?
We'll do one thing at a time. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to clarify, it is going to be like a deli butcher shop, fish market counter, like a larger grocery store would be, plus plus sandwich prep? Is that what you're proposing?
Yes,
Just 'cause people have
so,
alluded to everything, so I just wanted to clarify
yeah.
on the record.
to clarify, we don't have an operator that
Okay.
is under contract yet to do the space, but the conversations that we're having with the group that we hope we will enter into an agreement with wants to have a seafood counter with raw seafood available, as well as some prepared lobster salad, things like that. There's going to be a large coffee corner, as he's calling it. He wants to partner with a prominent local Cape coffee roaster to provide those beans and the service there, and then he'll have a seating area with Wi-Fi and somewhere that people can sit, read, do work. He'll have a butcher counter with some light sandwiches available pre-made for grab and go. And then the shelving that you see that's around the space will be dry goods, heavy focus on local Cape Cod products, year-round service, and hopefully finding niches that complement other existing businesses in Harwich Port. The operator that we hope to work with lives in Harwich Port and operates a business here that's existing, and so I think that there's a mutual interest in creating something that enhances the downtown and drives more traffic and benefits all of the businesses here in Harwich Port.
Okay, great, thank you.
And you're the title holder of the property, right?
I represent the title holder of the property. I'm
Who's the title holder?
Paul Manning,
Your father?
my father-in-law.
Okay. All right, I have two matters to be read into the record.
Actually, there's 3 letters there.
Remembered my follow-up question.
After I read my letters.
Absolutely.
Don't forget your question.
I know.
First letter is, Charlene, I hope that you are doing well. I'm writing to show support for the market that's been proposed in Harwich Port. As a year-round resident, we are thrilled to see more businesses and specifically food options coming to Harwich Port. We have to drive and take our money to other towns when looking for a quick, healthy lunch, as Harwich currently has 0 options. I understand that there has been pushback due to the parking, but the solution to a growing town is not to limit business. If this were an issue, it should have been addressed when the project was initially approved, as any tenant is going to need parking spaces. Happy to speak further about it. This is helpful. Thank you, Susan Battles. I think I've got that right, B-A-T-T-L-E-S. Then I have a letter. Good morning. I have been following the empty building in the center of Harwich Port for some time. I have also heard that there are plans to turn this into a much-needed market for the village, to include grab-and-go sandwiches, seating, coffee, pastries, etc. Essentially a small-town market in the vein of what we had with Thompson's or what East Orleans has with Nauset Farms. I want to express my support for this business. Currently, there is not one place in town to get a cup of coffee in the off-season unless you go to Cumberland Farms or Dunkin'. During a time when we want to encourage more year-round residents and more young adults to stay in town, having a place like this become a centerpiece of local interactions and business seems like a no-brainer. I am wondering what the ulterior motive of Waste Act Real Estate is in trying to push down this proposal. That isn't apparently what was said this evening. Editorial comment. There is no conflict of interest with the business types. There should be no reason for one small business to hold back another. Having vacant storefronts is bad for property values in the town, for which in turn would be bad for Waste Act's business. At least one would think, right? I fully support the addition of this year-round marketplace for Harwich Port, which in the summer is thriving, but needs more for the winter months to continue to grow and thrive as a village.
That's from Megan Yaps. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, the writer of that letter is Megan, Y-A-P-S. Okay. And finally, dear Harwich Port Planning Board, today's attendees and our video audience, my name is Neil Cronin, and I am the trustee of the Kima Inn Condominium Trust, 2 doors down from Harwich Port Commons. I renovated this building in the early 90s and occupied as part of it as owner of Commonwealth Associates Real Estate. The Hot Stove, Guild of Harwich Artists, and William Ravis Real Estate currently occupy this building. I worked with William Ravis and was the listing agent for the luxury condos on the 2nd floor of Harwich Port Commons. I have known Paul Manning since the late 60s when his parents lived on Gorham Road and I lived with my grandparents each summer in South Harwich. Paul worked at Thompson's Clam Bar. We worked together trimming trees. We both worked at Reliable Fence in Hyannis and had to hitchhike back and forth from Harwich to get to work most days that summer. Paul's family was from South Weymouth, and we went to UMass, where my brother was his roommate. He dated my sister. He was in my wedding party. His nephews, the Burks, went through the Harwich school system. I could continue, but the point is that we have a developer who is not a stranger to the Cape, but one who has a true bond with specifically and exclusively the town of Harwich and has chosen to do his part in enhancing our village, namely the mooring building and the Greek revival next door to Cape Cod 5. Now we have Harwich Port Commons. Having sat upstairs all summer in the condos, I had plenty of time to ponder what would be ideal for the bottom floor. The ideal of a market seems a perfect fit. How exciting for locals and tourists. We have a fleeting opportunity to make this a reality. Instead of 4 tenants, we have the possibility of 1 business for the entire space. There is a small window for the opportunity because if approval is denied, then the spaces will be rented piecemeal, and any thoughts of a market would evaporate. I do not want to see any empty building another season. I frankly do not want to see another real estate officer or professional officer. A vibrant marketplace is a joyous thought. We should run with it. I am sensitive to the package store issue. However, the developer is taking a big risk starting a marketplace from scratch. He needs the business to prosper, and having beer and wine is part of the marketplace experience. We need to give him 100% support and not handicap him with restrictions. Look at Ring Brothers, Peterson's, DPM, Chatham Village Marketplace, and the old Thompson's Farm Market. They all have or had beer and wine as an integral part of the business model. Cranberry Liquors will benefit. They have way more to offer in the way of selections than a market will ever have. Think of how many new people will now consider shopping in Harwichport. Those new visitors are now going to explore other shops in town, including Cranberry Liquors, whose back door beckons anyone who will park in the Harwichport Commons lot. Remember also that Harwichport had another package store a few hundred feet away in Harwich Spirit Shop, as well as Thompson's Farm Market. So during the Cranberry Liquors tenure, there has been a reduction in competing services, not a saturation. This market concept will be a gem in Harwichport, something to be proud of, but the window is short, so I encourage all to look at the big picture and embrace this opportunity tonight. Thank you, Neil Cronin. And those matters, they'll become a part of the record. Okay. Anything further?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
And I'm not sure who the question is for. It's a follow-up to my question about a potential barrier on the front around the seats. I know that we have that with 10 Yen, and I know that in front of Hut Stove, they have a kind of a cast iron fencing around their outside seating. Other outside seating I've seen at the port, which is on their porch. So I have a little bit of a concern with the tables out there without any protection. I know that there are people concerned based on conversations the planning board had last year when we came up with the ordinance about the signs, the size of the signs and the placement of the signs and so forth. And I understand, again, the wording that cannot restrict flow. So I guess my question, and maybe it's to the board, if we don't make it a condition of this case now, and at some point in the future, I don't want to go down this road, but if alcohol is permitted and alcohol is to be consumed out there in the front, I know that the selectman or the licensing agent, would they have the authority or responsibility at that time to, as they're considering the license, to say, I want a barrier, or even forget the alcohol, just next year it's a problem? Who has the authority to come back, if there is any possibility to come back, to work with the owner and say, you know, really for the safety of everybody included, the patrons sitting in the chairs, the people walking on the sidewalk, we think it would be best to install a barrier.
Well, I think that's the license authority. I think the Board of Selectmen would, if they determined that they wanted, and you're saying something like the thing across the street.
Right.
Then they would do that with the license. I don't think we have either that authority, and plus, they haven't, you know, they're not doing it yet.
Correct. And that's why I'm saying, and if we don't make it a condition today, or when we dispose of this case, and it's approved, it's not something that we could, a year or two from now, if it's determined that, gee, probably it'd be better if there were one, it's gone, it's out of our hands. And you're saying the only way that could happen would be if they applied with the selectmen, the licensing board, for a license, then they could at that time say, I want some type of barrier separating the sidewalk. Or is it the building inspector at any point in time could say, I think you need it?
I would argue that it's part of the site plan. If we are going to require a barrier, then it has to be part of it. then it would have to be part of the site plan, regardless of whether there's, and for me, it has nothing to do with whether there's alcohol being served there or not. And I don't know where there's no table service, I don't know that there needs to be a barrier, but I think if we're gonna require one, I think it's now during the site plan, otherwise I think it's a site plan, it's an amendment to the site plan later on. It's my two thoughts, I don't know about.
Dave
Well,
Harris.
that's the question I was asking Mary, exactly.
Can I make a comment, Mr.
Go ahead, sure.
There are hundreds of these types of arrangements of restaurants with outdoor seating in Washington, D.C., where I spent 40 years. Some have barriers, some do not. There's no requirement for them. There is far more foot traffic in those locations than there ever will be here. So I see no need for it. It has not become a requirement, a need-based requirement in Washington and many other cities, so I see no need for it here.
Okay.
And if I also just.
By the way, for those in attendance, I should have announced, we have one of our members participating by permission with the Board of Selectmen from a remote location, and that's what you're hearing on the desk here. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out, in response to what you're all talking about, is there is a condition or there's a proposed condition that we agreed to that the outside seating will not impede traffic. Right. If in fact that ever became an issue, then that's the condition that would trigger the need for coming back and resolving whatever that issue is. I think in this case, because of how far back it is from the road and that it's not service, I think the way it's set up now works. To your point, if there was ever to be a desire to have a pouring license out there, the selectmen absolutely would require some sort of barrier for control. They probably wouldn't allow it for outside, but that would solve that. But with the condition that you're proposing for not impeding traffic, that should address, we don't think it's going to be an issue, but that should address it if there was.
Okay, just for information.
Thank you.
Mr. Tenyan, did you, I'm sorry, Michael, thank you. You have a barrier in front of your outside service. Did you do that voluntarily, or did the board?
It was done as part of the site plan approval, because they were going to be serving, allowing alcohol out on the front patio.
I got you, okay.
Yeah, so it is a pouring license, as Charlene is saying, so that's why we wanted to make sure that it was all safe for everybody. Yeah, but it's because we were pouring and serving people, not so much a retail.
So for anybody who couldn't hear him, because you're not on the mic, and I'm not calling you out on that mic, it's because they have a pouring license. They needed to have a restricted area so that people weren't just wandering about with beverages.
Because it's consumption on the premises.
Right.
As opposed to a package store license.
Exactly.
Oh, I see, okay,
Yeah.
I got it now.
Yep.
All right,
So that just sparked another question. Absent a pouring license, could I buy a six-pack at Cranberry Liquors and then go into the deli and get a sandwich and sit on the front table and drink my beer and my deli sandwich?
No,
That's illegal,
No.
I think.
no.
Okay.
You're not allowed to have an open container
Oh,
of
across
alcohol
the
in
board.
some place that's not, other than
Designated for
their
it.
yard or someplace that has a pouring license, is my understanding.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
my understanding is you're going to apply for a package license, right?
They may do pouring.
Yeah, well, as we discussed last time, there's the goal or possibility probably of seeking a pouring license. Presumably, I think we're thinking inside, but that's up to the selectmen, and the sales for off-premises consumption for the beer and wine.
Okay,
So it would be both.
Thank you. all right. Anybody else wishes to be heard? Okay, then can we vote to close the public hearing?
So I move that we close the public hearing for PB 2019-47, 525 Camelot LLC.
And second,
Second.
Arthur Rose, aye.
we're listening.
Dave Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
Okay, go ahead.
And this does require a unanimous vote of this board in order to be approved, because it is a special permit, and it requires a supermajority of the total board.
2 special permits, right?
2 special permits.
So first, I move that we vote the following findings of fact for the use special permit for restaurant fast food takeout. One, that said parcel for the proposed use is primarily in the C-V zoning district and the Village Commercial Overlay District. Excuse me. A small portion of the rear of the parcel is in the RH-1 zoning district. 2, the restaurant fast food takeout use will be in conjunction with the retail market. 3, the retail fast food takeout use is a permitted use by the planning board as a special permit granting authority in the C-V zoning district. 4, the proposed use will not adversely impact traffic flow and safety. And 5, the proposed use will be compatible with the surrounding land uses.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a roll call. Go ahead.
Arthur Rose, aye.
Go ahead.
Dave Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
So next, I move that we approve the following use special permit for restaurant fast food takeout for PB 2019-47,
With conditions, turn to second page.
5 with conditions, for PB 2019-47, 525 Camelot LLC for a restaurant fast food takeout pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, Sections 325-9-14-0 and 51, in association with the retail use with 24 seats, including 6 outdoor seats, for property located at 557 Route 28, also known as Harwich Port Commons, map 14, parcel V9 in the C-V and RH1 zoning districts. This decision is based on the above findings of fact, and that the application meets the necessary requirements and criteria for approval pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich with the following conditions. 1, the total number of seats shall not exceed 24. 2, no more than 6 outdoor seats are allowable at the Route 28 street side of the building, and said seats shall not restrict sidewalk use or impede accessibility. 3, all signage is subject to all Town of Harwich code regulations and specifically Article 7.
Second.
Second.
And we have a roll call.
Arthur Rose, aye.
Dave Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
Okay, we're done?
Nope. So I move that we adopt the following findings of fact for the site plan special permit. 1, the parcel is primarily in the C-V zoning district and the Village Commercial Overlay District. A small portion of the rear of the parcel is in the RH-1 zoning district. 2, the site plan was scrutinized during the previous reviews pursuant to PB 2016-20 and PB 2017-13. 3, no significant changes are proposed from the previously approved site plans. And 4, the only change to the site plan is the inclusion of 6 outdoor seats, which are at the front of the building.
Okay, second?
Second.
Arthur Rose, aye.
Dave Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
Okay.
And then, finally, I vote that we approve with conditions case number PB 2019-47, 525 Camelot LLC for a modification of site plan review special permit PB 2016-20 and PB 2017-13 pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, Sections 325-55, for retail use and 24 seats, including 6 outdoor seats. Restaurant fast food takeout for the property located at 557 Route 28, also known as Harwich Port Commons, map 14, parcel V9 in the C-V and RH1 zoning districts. The decision is based on the aforementioned findings of fact, the fact that the application meets the necessary requirements and criteria for approval pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, and the fact that the retail use is permitted in the zoning district and the restaurant fast food takeout use special permit has been approved. The following conditions are imposed. 1, the total number of seats shall not exceed 24. No more than 6 outdoor seats are allowable at the street side of the building without review and approval by the planning board. 3, said outdoor seating shall not restrict sidewalk use or impede accessibility. 4, all previous conditions imposed by the planning board pursuant to PB 2016-20 and PB 2017-13 shall be adhered to. 5, signage shall comply with the requirements of the code of the town of Harwich and the building department. 6, this decision shall be recorded at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds. 7, conformance with all review procedure requirements outlined pursuant to section 400-18.g inspection, certificate of completion, and as-built plan of the code of the town of Harwich shall be met.
Second.
Arthur Rose, aye.
Dave Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
That does it.
That does it.
Please, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next is Michael.
Pardon?
Next is Tanya.
Okay.
That's why he's here.
11:15 is what I heard.
What?
Do you want to let people know we have another hearing?
Never know.
Folks, we have another hearing, so if you want to have some conversation, please do it outside. Next matter is PB 2019-48, 554 Street Bar LLC.
You gotta read it, the whole thing. It's a new hearing.
Okay.
Here you go, Joe.
I've got it here. Yeah. Care of Michael Jasek as applicant tenant, HP Property Investments LLC as owner, seeks approval of a modification of a site plan review, special permit PB 2019-09, to add and reconfigure the outdoor seating at the front of the building, which includes an exterior bar takeout window. This property is located at 554 Route 28, map 14, parcel T7, in the C-V and R-M zoning district. The application is pursuant to the code of the town of Harwich, 325-55.
Hello,
Go ahead.
I'm Michael Jasek, on behalf of 554 Street Bar LLC. We're here to hopefully get approval for our expansion this year from 40 to 71 seats for monkeys. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have with the plan or anything that we've been doing at Harwich Port.
I have a, excuse me, just one brief question. I understand, and I'm familiar, obviously, with Wyatt, those days of my life, coming and going from my home. You had at one time some kind of an arrangement there with flower boxes and so forth.
Yes, under the auspices of the board last year, because we had a pouring license, we came up with not just flower boxes, but actually barriers underneath the flower boxes. We've moved those to clean the patio, but once we stopped patio service, it just didn't make sense to have all the stuff up there. We kind of wanted to clean up the storefront and not make it look like an empty building that was seasonal, because we were still open on the inside. So we got rid of those boxes and we brought them to the Mad Minnow in the back there. But this is our proposed thing for next year. So very similar to what we were doing last year, just expanding it over to the Cranberry Jeweler side as well.
And you'll have those, that was really my question, and you'll have those flower boxes, or whatever you call them, run all the way across the front?
Correct.
Not just as you face the building, not just like they were before on the right-hand side, you'll now run them all the way across the...
So there'll still be an opening to get in, obviously, but yeah, right and left side, exactly. It'll be totally boxed in the brick space.
And will your business premises take over the entire building? The jeweler will no longer be there?
Not the entire building, but the entire frontage, yes. So the jeweler will be gone, yes.
Okay. All right, questions, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. From the My recollection is when we talked about the planters last year?
Yeah.
Okay. That at that time, the way that it was laid out, the design was you had to enter the building first and go through the building to get out to the patio.
Yes.
And it looks like from this design, that no longer holds true, that somebody could walk in from the street, go sit in a seat without having to go into the building.
So I'm sorry.
No, is that correct? Am I
So-
reading it correctly?
You're right about everything. Very quickly, we found out we needed to have a presence actually on the street. We needed to have somebody actually on that brick area in order to not only make sure that napkins and stuff were flying all around the patio, but just to be the point of contact to say hello, answer phone calls, give takeout. So we actually moved the hostess stand from inside to outside as soon as the weather became fair. So basically on the brick area, as opposed to having people go in and ask for a seat and then make their way back out, we literally just moved that whole operation outside. If it's not nice enough for a hostess to be out there, it's not nice enough to sit and eat, and so we didn't feel like we had an issue moving the hostess outside. So to answer your question, I think we're gonna have somebody as a point of contact outside as well as inside.
So does that have to go, thinking back to the conversation we had about the barrier for 525, or Camelot, and the pouring license granted by the selectmen, and they would be the ones to require something like that. If alcohol is being served out there, did they require that you had to go into the building first and come out last year, or was that the planning board? Or was that simply your design?
That was something, that was just our design that we proposed to you, and we found that we had a better control over it with 2 points of contact as opposed to one.
Okay.
Because say you have whoever's supposed to be managing the outside from the inside, you just can't see it as well as if you're outside. So we literally just increased staff and got somebody for the inside and somebody for the outside.
Okay.
So, obviously, there's always going to be a situation in any busy restaurant where even if you have 100 hostesses or hosts, there's gonna be a moment where there's somebody that's just kind of standing there like, why is there nobody here for me right now? And of course, there could be a scenario where somebody sits down not knowing, but we would get to it within seconds. I mean, it's just one of the costs of doing business, but.
And the other concern that I had would be people out there, if there weren't a hostess there, and you don't have to go into the building and back out again, you could get served alcohol there and then take it out on the street and illegally walk down the street with it in your hand.
Yeah, so everything will be full service. So we will have not just, a manager floating between the two different managers floating between inside and outside, but we'll also have a designated server for each table and each guest to make sure that, just like anywhere you were eating, that you can't take your drink and leave.
Walk out, okay. Last question, I believe. What is Three Monkeys?
So Three Monkeys is, if you look at the floor plan here,
Right.
the blank space to the left-hand side, that's what's currently the Pilates studio in back, and then Cranberry Jewelers in front.
Yeah.
That's literally all just storage or limbo. We don't plan on using that for anything aside from storage.
But you're gonna take over, you're gonna rent it. I
We
mean,
are,
you-
we do have it. We're renting it starting March 1st. The middle little shotgun alley there, that's 10 yen as it exists right now.
Right.
Three Monkeys would be everything to the right of that. So all the patio space and everything in that new space that was formerly Buc-ee's would be labeled as Three Monkeys. And so you're probably wondering, why do we need 3 monkeys and 10 yen?
Right.
So based on the sewage calculations, we were able to increase our seating in a way that was copacetic with the town from 40 to 71 in the event that we went from full-service glass and plateware and china to paper. The gallons per day goes from 35 per seat to 20 per seat, and so we were able to, obviously, with a grease trap improvement, pick up, I think it was 31 seats on top of what we had. And so basically, going all paper on the patio and on the right side, we can do a very casual, takeout-friendly style of service, which will be really fast, really just an energetic sort of feel compared to 10 yen, which has always been no kids, reservations, kind of a nicer, you can have a martini in a glass sort of deal. So that's the reason why we're doing 2 separate concepts, to have 2 different clientele and, be able to finally accept a party of 5 or 6, it's.
But all with, I'm sorry, I said it was my last question, prompted another one. Not a separate entrance, though, from the street to Three Monkeys, still the same center entrance,
It's the same staff, same kitchen, same entrance, same everything.
except that there'll be paper usage, Three Monkeys and outside, and glass and plates or whatever.
Exactly
At
right.
10 Yen.
Exactly right.
Thank you.
And not, it's not our jurisdiction, but all under one license.
All under one license, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mary?
Could we have Charlene's report?
Certainly, sorry.
That's okay. The Health Department reported that prior to the use of the additional seating, the septic system installer must apply for a permit to install an additional exterior grease collection tank. With the addition of this tank, the property will be able to accommodate the proposed 71 seats, 14 full-service seats inside 10 Yen, and 34 outdoor seats and 23 interior seats utilizing disposable paperware as the newly named Three Monkeys. Plan review of the interior, including the kitchen and bar, is required prior to the issuance of a Health Department food service permit. However, this should not interfere with the Planning Board approval process. Fire had no concerns, great plan. Police Department had no concerns. The proposed outdoor seating is located, these are my comments, is located entirely on the subject property. There is no change in the number of required parking spaces as a retail space is being eliminated. General conditions, including a reference to prior conditions relative to PB 2013-14 and PB 2019-09 shall be continued to be adhered to. D, Board of Health conditions are recommended as part of the conditions of approval. And E, the request before the board does appear to be appropriate. One thing I did want to point out, just in case, is as part of the outdoor seating, and frankly, I think this is actually pretty cool and trendy, is that they are proposing 6, what I'm going to call them, bar seats at an outdoor window. So that will be, you know, the space where they can collect food to go and that kind of thing. Or you can, you know, get a beer or wine while you wait for your
That's the
your
thing on the
takeout.
right-hand side.
That is the thing on the right, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anybody on the board have any questions? Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments?
How's it going? My name's Joe Young again. I live at 611 Route 28. And what Michael and his business partners have been doing in Harwich Port is great. We always need more outdoor seating, especially when it's nice out in restaurants. So to be able to do this and then also increase to Three Monkeys on the other side, instead of leaving these places vacant, I mean, this is great. So I know we're for it. Like I said, my family and everything. And I think it's a great opportunity again for Harwich Port. Thank you.
Anybody who's not familiar, obviously, there's outdoor seating across the street at the Hot Stove. They have an outdoor seating. I don't know how much they use it, but they have it. Sir?
Yeah, Walter Mason, Miles Street, Harwich Port. I think these guys run a great establishment. They hire great employees. They provide this growing substantial revenue to the town, which it needs because we tend to spend a lot. So this helps subsidize our tax rates, thank you. And they have a good product. They've taken a building that Dick Fennell built that wasn't very nice looking, and this dresses it up, breaking it up with those barriers, putting that outside seating in. I think it really improves the look from the facade coming down Harwich Port. It's a compliment to the other businesses in town. You know, creates a walking town, which is what you kind of want. I think it's a huge improvement. I think they run a good job, do a good job. They've spent a bunch of money. They're constantly improving and looking for ways to do better. So I think we should approve this.
Walter, you and I remember when this building was built.
Yeah, the Sword and Shield was there.
The old
That's
Sword and
right.
Shield.
You know, had a little character to it, but this thing wasn't.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Sword and Shield? Is
Walter
there
took
that
my
really-
thunder. I was going to mention the Sword and Shield, but I just want to thank Mike, Tony, and Mike because, yes, what Walter said and a few people before, they've added to the charm of Harwich Port, and it's becoming more and more of a destination. So I certainly hope that you will all support what they are doing, and we've had a good night tonight, so thank you all.
Could you just record
Again,
it?
Cindy Williams, Harwich Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much.
Just in case.
Good evening. Once again, Jim Horgan, 1 Belmont Road in Howard. I've been to dinner at 10 Yen with my 17-year-old many times, And to reassure everybody, Mike is the consummate professional, and his staff are above and beyond. When you come into that area at the front where the alcohol and food is being served, you cannot get by without somebody saying, "Hello, how are you? How can I help you?" You cannot walk in there. You cannot get a drink. They will seat you. When you have to wait, they will take your number, and you can walk around town and go to other businesses. Then they will text you and tell you when to return. So he's doing a great job, and I believe this will be another asset to Harwich Port.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else who wishes to be heard? Vote to close.
So, I move that we vote to close the public hearing for PB 2019-48554 Street Bar LLC, care of Michael Jasek as applicant and tenant, HP Property Investment LLC as owner.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Arthur Rouse, aye.
Dave Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
So I move that we vote to adopt the following findings of fact. 1, the property is located within the C-V, V-C overlay and the R-M zoning districts. 2, the proposed outdoor patio is located entirely within the C-V and V-C overlay districts. 3, the site has changed little except for the outdoor patio seating since approvals were received for the site in 2013 and 2019. And 4, no nuisance or hazards relative to pedestrian or vehicular traffic will be created.
Okay.
Second.
Arthur Rouse, aye.
Dave Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
So I move that we vote to approve with conditions case number PB 2019-48 554 Street Bar LLC, care of Michael Jasek as applicant tenant, HP Property Investment LLC as owner, a modification of a site plan review special permit PB 2019-09 to add to and reconfigure the outdoor seating at the front of the building, which includes an exterior bar takeout window for property located at 554 Route 28, map 14, parcel T7, in the C-V and R-M zoning districts pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, section 32555. The decision is based on the aforementioned findings of fact and the fact that the application meets the necessary requirements and criteria for approval pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich and the following conditions. 1, prior to use of the additional seating, a septic system installer must apply for a permit to install an additional exterior grease collection tank. 2, all prior conditions pursuant to PB 2013-14 and PB 2019-09 shall continue to be adhered to. 3, this decision shall be recorded at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds prior to the issuance of a building permit. 4, conformance with all review procedure requirements outlined pursuant to section 400-18G, inspection, certificate of completion, and as-built plan of the Code of the Town of Harwich shall be met.
Second.
Arthur Rouse, aye.
Dave Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Wish you well. That completes what we're going to hear tonight, and do we have any new business?
I got nothing.
I don't have anything. Okay, any old business? Other than the chairman? I guess not. And,
Old business. I don't know if it's old or new, or if it's even appropriate to ask.
go ahead.
But Charlene, any action on your replacement?
No,
So
not yet.
Can you
I actually-
retire and come back as a consultant?
I have not officially submitted my letter.
So
but
there's
they know
still a chance
verbally.
we can,
Yeah, no, no.
Are they making you an offer you can't refuse?
Come on.
Yeah, that'll never
yeah,
happen.
My
come
my
on.
guess is that they're very busy trying to hire an administrator, aren't they?
They are in that process right now? Yes.
Thought I saw that, yeah.
Yep, yep. No, I will probably be submitting my formal letter within the month.
Okay. Any-
Don't give me the hairy eyeball over there, Ms.
Any briefings and
Maslowski.
reports?
CPC is pretty much wrapped up with the votes that we've taken. I don't know if
Did you spend all the money?
we spent all that we had, and we did not have enough to fund everything every request that we had. But we did spend all the money that we could, so.
Okay. And I received a notice that we're gonna have a meeting of capital outlay, which I'm your rep. No, I'm not, now I'm a direct appointment. I used to be the planning board.
I think you're the rep.
Maybe I am.
Because I don't think there is a planning board rep besides you.
Okay.
I think you could be both.
Anyway, I got a notice that we're gonna have a further meeting here very shortly.
Oh, I hope somebody lets me know, because I'm your recording secretary, and I posted it.
It's
budget
You know the chairman. You know, he's gonna do what he wants. All right. Anybody else?
Just one question, do we have a date set for the public hearings for the zoning amendments? Because they were
Yes, you
referred back to
do.
us.
You have a public hearing on February 25th for the essential services bylaw change, and you have a public hearing on March 10th for the industrial zone.
Okay. You expect we're gonna see people?
I expect you're probably going to see people for the IL. There's been, since there was an article in the Chronicle.
And it's been some inquiry?
Yeah, there's been a couple inquiries, so
Okay, our next meeting is February 25th.
bring your pillows.
Gonna be longy?
Potential.
Okay, thank you.
Move to adjourn?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Aye.
Thank you.